Good day. Thank you for joining our Travel With Us a While podcast. My name is Bron Hogan, and I have wonderful conversations with travelers by land, sea, air, and beyond. And my awesome guest today is Naomi Creek. I know her because she lives on Flinders Island, and we bumped into each other there. And I have been following her on her Facebook page, and I absolutely am drawn to her photography and her amazing work with rehabilitating wildlife there on Flinders Island. But recently I discovered that actually she is the national coordinator for Creaky Joints Australia and has an amazing podcast called Patient Pre-Prem. And Naomi has agreed to tell us about um, traveling with a few inconveniencing things like arthritis and others. So, without further ado, Naomi, thank you so much for joining me on the program. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure our listeners will really get a great insight to what you share with them today. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Brian. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you asking. Conditions such as arthritis, and we cover things with doctors and patients and hear stories and provide hope to people living with those conditions. So, I feel quite comfortable behind the microphone, so that's a good thing. I really enjoy being able to share, I guess, my side of my life with arthritis, and it's not something that I like to focus on because I feel as though that's it can weigh you down a lot if you dwell on your health. So I just get on with things. But I have had arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, since I was a child, and since I was 12, and just a luck of the draw, unfortunately. So I I've just, I guess, learnt to live with it, and it's just become, it's just part of me, of who I am. So I didn't have I wouldn't say a wonderful, high school period of that sort of thing with pain and stuff, but you learn ways around that and ways to get stronger, and that this is your life, and that's how that's what you're lumped with. So you either get on with it or you don't. So I do, and I think I have a bit of an adventurous spirit. So
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't say I haven't really traveled the world. I wouldn't call myself that at all. I have been to a few countries, but I guess I like to be adventurous in smaller ways. So, taking smaller trips to places. And one of those places, I guess, was Flinders Island, that I discovered in 2015 and instantly fell in love with.
That is about the time I first fell in love with it because that's when I first met Ken, my partner. And
Oh, right.
it was incredible. I just love the place. So please continue, Naomi.
Yeah. Well, I was with my ex-husband at the time, so we visited here as a sort of a holiday. And yeah, I think I was just at a time in my life I really just wanted to escape and find somewhere with not many people, and it's something that I think must be in my DNA. I think, I don't know, but I'm drawn to remote places where there's not many people. I just
Me too.
crave to be in those places. I'm not a city girl at all, so I really don't enjoy crowds and that buzz. It sort of almost scares me in a way. So I feel a little uncomfortable and overwhelmed, and probably that might have something to do with my health and my condition, because I feel a little bit not able to handle, if there was a fight or something like that. With lots of people around, you feel a little unsafe. So
Yes.
I love feeling being around nature, and that well, it's not isolation. It is, but it isn't. I never feel lonely at all in being somewhere on my own in nature.
Absolutely.
I feel whole, whereas in the city I feel very lost with thousands of people.
I, I I cannot agree with you more. I absolutely find them overwhelming on occasions. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. It's so after a few years of coming back and forth, I decided to move here and on my own. My marriage, unfortunately, ended. However, fortunately, we are very good friends and understand each other's wishes for life. So that's a really positive thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so I moved here on my own. So that was a huge step for me, I guess, in moving to a remote island with my health condition. My friends thought I was mad. My healthcare professionals thought I was mad. I thought I was being very brave and adventurous, and why the hell not? So, yeah, well, you only get one life to live, and I think when you're going through like a separation or a moment in your life where you are reflecting on everything and what you want out of life, you don't want regrets, and regrets
Absolutely.
and it was just something that I kept thinking about. I just thought, these are the things I want, and they're not the things that unfortunately my partner wants, or we couldn't gel with that sort of thing. So I just had to make it happen, and so Flinders Island was there, and I loved it. I felt comfortable here, and I thought I'd be happy here. So I made that big move and packed up my car and came on the boat, and I bought a little house, and I bought it with all the furniture in it, and I just moved in and started living here. And made some amazing friends, and so I'm up to my 8th year now, and it's just gone so fast. I love it, and I feel like I've only scratched the surface of seeing Flinders Island. The little corners, there's lots of places I haven't been. It's amazing when you live at somewhere you don't venture out much, because every little corner is just so beautiful that you want to explore every little facet of it.
Absolutely. I think that's why we keep returning. Ken grew up there. He arrived when he was 5 and only left after his marriage broke up. And he just loves coming home, and as in home to all his familiar things and his friends. And he loves fishing, so of course we go to all the fishing spots. And I just love frolicking around, and photography is my absolute passion. And so when I first got there, I just share this with you because you probably have a giggle. He took me to Allports Beach. And
Yeah.
I went, oh, wow. And I took about 30, 40 photos, and I sat down and I was just drinking in the beauty of it, thinking, oh man, this is magnificent. He said, up, up, up. He says, we've got another 149 to do.
Yeah.
There's 150 beaches on Flinders. Well, luckily he didn't try and rush me through them. And the first kind of long weekend we were there, I think I took 2,000 photos.
Wow. Yeah.
I just
I
got a
feel
bit of
like,
a rush. You just
yeah,
can't.
similar to
Yeah,
me. Yeah, you just go berserk with the photos, don't you? It's
yeah.
just so much to see, and just the same spot is, you can take different photos every single day because the light's different and the weather's different, and
The tide, and the
the
tide is
tide
different.
is different. Yes, we all live by the tide, don't we? So
Absolutely. I think one thing, just to
particularly you.
interrupt, yeah, as I say that, and just to interrupt your conversation for a bit, I just share with you that um, I cannot get over how it changes with what the sea brings in onto the shore, with when it's a really low tide or when it's a really high tide. And everywhere you go, we regularly take people that are visiting us from overseas, and we force them, no, with the arms behind their back reluctantly, and then they say, why didn't you tell us about this earlier? And they just love it because it's so special. And I grew up in Zimbabwe, which is Central Africa, in the highlands, and granite rocks like that, except with not the lichen and the sea, was my childhood. I was climbing on rocks like that. So whenever I get to Flinders, it's got this coming home feeling for me. I just love
Yeah,
it.
I can understand
Yeah,
that.
and
Yeah.
growing up in a small community as I did, that's what Flinders is small community. It's lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I came from well, before I moved here, I lived in Emerald in Victoria, up in the
Yes,
Dandenong Ranges, and that had a
lovely.
lovely community, and I'm still close to the people there. So yeah, I that was my first sort of taste of being really part of the community and being involved with committees and art
Yes,
and
yes.
that sort of thing, and I really enjoyed that. So and that's certainly something that you can get involved with on Flinders Island if you want to.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So, when did you start to get involved with rescuing animals and caring for them? Because before, just for the listeners, before we began this podcast recording, Naomi had to get a few wallabies out of her lounge room.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it was about 5 or 6 years ago. So yeah, my partner, now partner David, he unfortunately ran over a mum, and the Joey flew out of the pouch, and it was concussed, and brought it home and presented it to me and said, what do we do with this? So I said, I don't know. So I proceeded to figure that out, and talked to some carers on the island and off the island, and managed to get the right things that I needed very quickly, and instantly fell in love with these beautiful animals.
Aren't they
The wallabies
amazing?
are our favourite things, and the paddy melons, of course. We've
Oh,
raised a couple of paddy melons who are just delightful, and yeah, and we've I guess done it slowly. We just take them in if they come in, and at different stages of growth, and it's really a wonderful experience to be able to see them grow, their fur grow and their paws grow, and their all the little bits from and you get to understand how what a special species they are, these redneck wallabies,
Yes.
because I think they all have different personalities, and yeah, we raise them inside with the pouches and things, and then we release them. Fortunately, we live on 300 acres here, so we release them into the wild here, but we visit they visit us practically every day, so we
Oh,
can check on
lovely.
them, and they're integrated into the wild ones here, and yeah, so it's a pretty nice experience.
Fantastic.
Tiring, but and I will just say, if there's anyone listening on Flinders Island that would love to care for wildlife and wallabies, I would love to have a chat with you, because it's something we need a lot more of, because
More of, yeah.
yeah, it's a taxing thing to
Oh,
do, emotionally and physically, and financially.
yes,
So
exactly.
it's a hard one to keep going. But I am this year I am actually going overseas. If the world doesn't explode before then, I'm planning to go to England. So that's a travel discussion.
Yes.
With my parents. So I am going to have a little month off caring for animals, and yeah, we're going to try and find some help while I'm away. So
I'm sure you'll find somebody who would really enjoy it. I used to volunteer for Bonarong Wildlife Sanctuary in
I
Baghdad, near
yes,
Hobart, and
yes,
it was one of the most rewarding things I did. But I was just the ambulance that got the animal and then took them to the carer after they'd been via a
yeah.
vet. And I just share with you one of my most satisfying rescues was an echidna that had been hit by four cars.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I was like in tears as I was driving along, thinking this is going to be so messy and horrible, but we've got to euthanize this animal if it's so hurt. And there was a lady also in tears standing over a little hole it had dug itself into, right as they do, right next to the road. And I said to her, I said, "Oh, thank you so much," because that stopped him going back and getting hit more. Anyway, had all my gear, dug him out, put him in the cage, took him to the vet, and they were so astonished. They x-rayed him straight away, and 10 minutes later, I got the x-ray to show me that absolutely nothing, no damage. He must have got his tongue and head, nose in before he got hit, and then was just hit around like a ball. And
Wow.
yeah, so that was incredible, but mostly it was unpleasant because they were often really badly injured, and we euthanized them. But um, there were a lot of rescues that were good, but I never got involved in the. I traveled too much, so I was never able to do looking after them. But yeah, and I just commend you for that. It's hard work, and especially when they're little and you've got to wake up every 2 hours to feed them or something ridiculous.
Yes, yes. We try not to take on the very, very small ones,
Mm.
because they are challenging. But yeah, usually you have to do a couple of sometimes a month or two of overnight, or one overnight feed I've had to do with some of them. But yeah, it's still, it's worth it.
So you have some beautiful photos of underneath the water
I
on Flinders
do.
Island. And
Yes.
I thought, my goodness, you must go scuba diving every single day, but in actual fact, you don't. And so please share with you how you get those beautiful images.
Oh, thank you. I just snorkel, so I snorkel on top of the water. I don't even go under the water, dive down. I actually wear a flotation vest.
That's what you said on the post. Yes.
Yes, so I do that because I cannot float anymore. I have had so many operations in my life for my joints that my density has changed so much that I just simply can't float. So the vest is essential if I'm going to get in the water. So I feel actually quite secure in doing that to go around. But I usually go at low tide, so incoming tide, so it's a sort of a safer place.
Yes.
I do a lot of snorkeling from our property here, from where I live on Flinders Island, and very lucky to have such a beautiful reef here. I am starting to do some more snorkels with other people around the island, which is really nice to see some other spots.
Yes. Yes.
And I just take a really little camera with me, an Olympus tough
Yes. That's mine.
series camera. Yep, it's a fantastic camera.
Absolutely. I just interrupt you for a second here. When I first met Ken, I had a Nikon with interchangeable lenses, and I was a proper photographer. You know, I should be paid to
Yes.
be one. And went for my first sail with him for a week, along about 5 days down the Derwent, and stopping and getting ashore everywhere. And he kept saying to me, "You must have 3 points of contact." And I had no idea what exactly that meant. But you cannot take photographs with only one hand. So how can you have 3 points of contact? Long story short, it looked as if I'd been bashed and bruised and rolled down a hill. I was so bruised from not holding on. Gave that to my daughter, and I bought the Olympus Tough underwater camera. I'm into my second one now in 12, 13 years, and it is amazing. My photos, what I do is I set it to the fastest speed there is, and then I just set what I'm doing under the water, above the water, whatever, and then I can hold on with 3 points and just click.
Yeah,
Great
exactly.
color. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's such a good camera, and it's you don't have to think about it really, do you? And I don't get too technical with the camera. I do generally just keep it on one setting as well, and
yes,
just use zoom in and out. But I
exactly.
do think it's a good idea to have a hand free and to sort of maneuver yourself through some of those seaweedy
Yes,
areas, and
yes.
for
And
sure.
there's so many places that what I liked about Flinders is when you go and the weather's not blowing from one direction, you just
Yeah.
go around to another direction, another side of the
Ah,
island where it's
that's
sheltered.
exactly right. Yeah, that's right.
So
Yep.
you can never have a
There's
bad day there. So,
no, that's right. Yeah, I've always liked snorkeling, but never really got into it, and up until about, well, it's probably 3 years. So the first few years here, I don't know, I didn't think about it. I swam, but I didn't really think about that there
what
would be much to see, even, which was really naive of me to think that.
Well, not really, because when you're swimming, you cannot see really clearly. You think, oh, the water's clear, but you can't actually see down there in the colors unless you've got goggles on. And
No.
yeah,
So I
so
was blown away when I went for a little snorkel for the first time,
absolutely,
and just fell in love with it. It was like my world had been doubled, like above the ground and below the ground. It was just opened
totally
up this whole
understand.
nother thing for me, and the fact that I feel great in the water is another bonus, and it's healthy and great exercise. So there's a lot of good things going for it. And the other thing that came out from that was because I was seeing all these beautiful seaweeds, in particular, I started having a different relationship with seaweed that was washed up on the shore.
Yes,
I was more intrigued. It didn't. It wasn't a sort of, you go to a beach and it's like, oh, there's lots of seaweed there. You don't. it used to be a negative, and now I get excited when I see dumps of seaweed on the beach, because I go picking through it, and looking for seaweed and seeing, and I can see the ones that I've been seeing underwater, and
And the
I
little
started,
creatures too.
yeah, and the creatures as well, and I started taking picking pieces up, and I happened to find some things online from other artists who had been pressing seaweed, and I thought, this is something that I think I'm going to like to do. So I started doing that, and I've been doing that a little bit, and I had some as part of my an art exhibition that I had last year, and I made some pressed seaweeds, and everyone loved them, and I've made some cards out of photographed the pressed seaweed into cards. And and so it's that whole I think it's that whole process of getting in the water, seeing the seaweed, and and then I never take it from the wild if it's living. I only take washed up
No, that's right.
stuff. So it's just a really lovely process of collecting, pressing, photographing,
Absolutely.
making it into something.
Yes, it's the best type of recycling I can think of.
Exactly. Yeah.
When we were sailing in the South Pacific, I love collecting flotsam and jetsam that comes up on the beach. So shells, even broken shells that have like the story you can see inside, and by the end of Ken would be fishing, and I'd be up and down around that corner, up and down around the other corner, and I've got a special bag I always take, and I'd lay it all out and take a photograph, because it's soon we realized that the boat would sink if I took everything home.
Yes, that's
So I
right.
have
Well,
a
I think it's
collection of
important to
photos.
take only what you need,
Yes,
little
yes,
small little pieces.
yes.
So yeah.
I get excited about leaves.
Oh yeah, yes, exactly. Yes, leaves are great too for artistic value.
Absolutely. So have you done any bushwalking on Flinders?
I guess with my limitations, I don't do much bushwalking, but I do try to walk where I can. So yeah, I guess that it limits me a bit. So I do try and see where I can go, and usually go with a friend, to have that companionship and
Yes,
safety of going with someone else if it's
yes,
somewhere I haven't been before. I mean, there's some of these tracks you go down, you sort of think, am I going to be able to get out of this track when
yes,
you're on your own? Even I went down one the other day, and I ended up turning around because I just felt this unease of, I don't know, the track was getting worse and worse, and it's like,
yes.
nah, I don't think I'm going to go down there. And I
You
was on
must,
my own.
yeah, you must trust your instinct on those things. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
for sure.
So,
It's interesting.
yeah.
When I first met Kenny, he had severe sciatic. So
Yes.
he could only walk for about 50 meters, and he had to sit down for about 5, 10 minutes. So when
Yeah.
we were in the South Pacific Islands, we'd go ashore, and it was easy because you could fish anywhere. You didn't need to do far walks for fishing. But I would then go for a walk, and I'd take photographs so he knew what it would all look like. And if it was magnificent, then we literally would walk for 50 meters, sit down, walk for 50 meters, sit down, and go for
Yeah.
him to look at.
Yeah.
And
That's it.
how the roles have reversed, since I'm now waiting for a knee reconstruction, and my
Ah, yeah.
arthritis has flared up like crazy. And
Yeah.
it's just I'm getting used to it. But it
Yeah.
sometimes is quite frustrating that you can't do. I see people doing these wonderful hikes, which I used to do and I can't do anymore, and I find that a bit depressing. But I'm getting used to it, and I can look at other people's photos, or I can have them on my podcast, and they can share the excitement with me. So it's a
Yeah,
win-win
that's right. I
situation.
think
Yeah.
that's the beauty of photographs, isn't it, and videos and things
Yes.
like that. I
Yes.
mean, there's places on the island I would love to get to, like some of the, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to climb Strzelecki.
No, me
I
neither.
might be able to do part of Mount Killiecrankie. I haven't tried that
Yes,
yet, but I
I've done
know
it a
that you can
bit.
do
Yes.
some of that. But there's so many other beautiful things that I'm satisfied with, so I'm
Yes.
okay with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And everything is reasonably accessible. So if people have wheelchairs and that, a lot of the beaches you can park quite close by and scramble down on your bottom, I'd imagine, to get onto the beach.
You
Would you
can,
agree?
yes. There are some that I think could be more accessible here, and it's actually something that I've been championing myself after I had a family member come who has an acquired brain injury, and he couldn't make it down to one of the very popular beaches here, which I felt was very disappointing. Well, he actually did, but he had to have the help of my 80-year-old plus parents getting him down to the beach, and it was a case of something that could be very simply rectified. And sometimes I think that's where as a community member we can speak up and try to change these things. So we are going to change that on this beach, and it's just going to create a simpler walkway down to the sand, which will hopefully other people will appreciate, and that's getting done this year. Yeah.
Is it? Oh, fantastic. Which beach
Yes, it's at All Ports, actually.
Oh, funny enough, I'm actually creating a blog at the moment, a reel. I do like a mini series of places, and I'm currently doing Flinders Island, and I'm busy with old photos and videos to do All Ports, and I think it's Trousers Point. They're quite close together, aren't they? Oh, not North Esk as well. I'm just doing a little bit going around.
Yes, yeah.
And, that would be lovely.
Yeah. And I mean, most people wouldn't think the access is bad there, but it's there's a couple of very old steps which are steep and challenging, and it's somewhere that I probably don't go. I wouldn't go on my own because I find it hard to get up a step, which is very, very frustrating when it's just one step that's stopping you from enjoying something so lovely. So that's going to be rectified, though. That's great.
Well done. Yeah.
So we'll. I know there's been some great work being done on the island, though. Trousers Point has been improved. Some of that has been improved already, which is great. It was down there yesterday, actually, having a snorkel.
I'm jealous.
So, yes, it was just beautiful. But there's, lots of beaches to choose from, as you mentioned earlier, 100 and something.
150 apparently.
Yes.
I Googled it. I thought, I wonder how many beaches there actually are, and it's 150. Plus maybe little ones as well, little coves and things. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I don't know that I've seen every single one of them, but I've come really close because...
Yeah, you would have seen a lot more than a lot of people being on your boat.
Absolutely. And having ken with local knowledge how to get to places that other people, tourists, wouldn't be able to get to. Yeah, I just find it... And I love the docks. Oh, that walk there.
Yes.
It's comparatively easy for me. And I haven't gone up the mountain behind. Killiecrankie, isn't it?
It's amazing.
But everywhere you go, it's fabulous. And what I like is when you go, there's wildlife. If you're not making a noise, talking and stamping your feet, there's beautiful wildlife everywhere. And I love it. What I really get worried about is at night time people who aren't islanders go too fast, and then there are so much wildlife on the roads at night.
I know it's a time that I very much avoid, and I often don't go to dinner parties and things because I just simply don't want to drive home at night time. It's just it's a stressful time for me to hit an animal.
Horrible
for anyone.
And there was something happened a while ago. I was driving, and because we keep a little car over there, just a bomb, but it's when we sail we can use a vehicle when we get there. And I was driving, and I slowed down because there was a carcass, and there was an eagle feeding. And Ken said, "Stop, stop." So I said, all right. So I stopped. I thought, was there something else coming? And he said, no, because eagles need about 5 jumps before they can fly away. So you've got to give it time to get away.
Well, that's something that's interesting to know. Yeah, I didn't realise that.
I'd never thought about that, So I grew up in Africa, and when I was 17, I was a safari guide for a photographic safari in Botswana in the Okavango swamps. So my knowledge of wildlife has been since my childhood. My parents always used to take me out in the bush, and I had 2 brothers, and I grew up in the bush. It was just wonderful. And so it's amazing that I love elephants, but my favorite animal is the echidna.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
I just find
they are adorable, aren't they?
I think I love the way they walk with a waddle, with the almost, like a swagger because of their long claws.
Yes, and the backwards feet.
Yes, just like it's Oh my goodness, I can never get enough of them. It's just fabulous. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Just to share a funny little incident, we were looking for, Ken and I had not been able to find a koala when we were on the mainland. We've seen them in parks and things, but I wanted to find one in the wild. So we kept seeing signs that said, look up for koalas. And we looked and never saw anything. Ken said, that's just for tourists. I bet there are none. So eventually we went up this little volcanic area. The name escapes me. And there'd been a lot of wind that day. And so we were pulling trees off the road to get to the track where you could go up the volcanic part. And as we're coming back, there was our first koala in the tree. And Ken was so excited. He said, oh, look, wombat. I never let him forget it. And once we'd seen them, it was like they were everywhere. So, I mean, they don't move. They just sit there often. They do very little
Yeah.
movement. And I wonder if that's why, when I was looking for them, I expected movement and probably didn't
Oh,
see them. But
yes.
once I knew what they
Perhaps.
looked like, then it was easy to find them. Yes, so I've seen them. I've ticked that off. Echidnas, platypus, wallabies, yeah, actually anything. I love them all. Oh, Naomi, have you
Yeah.
got any tips for people who are traveling with a condition like yours? What would your suggestion be?
I think I'm planning this trip to Cornwall in September, and I'm planning to possibly go over to France just for 2 nights to see
Yes.
where Van Gogh and Monet live,
Oh,
because I adore the Impressionist movement, and they're two of my
the Louvre.
inspirations. So, and
Oh,
yes, and obviously see a couple of galleries too. So, and that in itself, I haven't travelled overseas for about 10 years, and I think researching is one of the things. It's
yes,
just the
yes.
it's the whole access to public transport and trains and steps and things, that you kind of have this fear that will there be someone there to help me if I can't get onto a train or something. So
Yes.
yeah.
So in England, we got a Britrail pass. You have to buy it before you get there. So I don't know how long you're going to stay for. And so look into that because that really helped us a lot
Yeah,
when we're
yes, we
there.
probably possibly will do that, because we are going to get a few trains. But I think, yeah, just research the travel light, baggage wise,
Oh, yes.
lugging things around. And I have become a master of that by living on Flinders Island and having to go off the island for different things. You sort of tend to just realize how little you need. So
Absolutely.
I planning to travel very lightly. Research, make sure you have all the right things in place with your medicines, and letters from your doctor and those things, if with customs, and yeah, just be informed. And I think that just gives you a sense of comfort, knowing what you're expecting when you get there. What is the accommodation like? Is
Yes.
there are there stairs? Is there a lift? So you try and choose those things that are going to make your stay a lot more comfortable.
That's true. Wise words. Thank you so much for joining me, Naomi. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. Thank you for listening to this week's podcast. If you've enjoyed this and would like to see some of the amazing photographs of the little animals and Naomi herself, please check out the blog where I use her images and her partner or brother's images, and read and see more about this incredible lady who does so much for the wild animals on Flinders Island. And you may find us on bronhogan.com, and you can always subscribe to the podcast if you really enjoy it. Thank you for listening.